Hi everybody, welcome back. So it's official, we are in the peak of royal silly season. It's known as silly season in the summer months when it comes to reporting in the mainstream media. This is where there's no football going on, celebrities are generally soaking up the sun and working on their tans. The royal family are not about because some of them are on their holidays as well. And then of course the politicians are, well, Parliament's not exactly active at the moment. So as the expression goes, idle hands make the devil's work. This is something that I think is definitely used in the media, whereby instead of following on serious stories, they tend to focus more on some trivial and absurd stories and rumours. And the royal family, and one particular member of the royal family, seems to definitely be the main target. Can you believe, since I last spoke to you guys about this targeted campaign against the Prince and Princess of Wales, over the latest story is because they're daring to move house onto another property on the Windsor estate that isn't going to cost taxpayers any money. Well, as it turns out that they're not quite done with that story, and we've had another 2 hit pieces come out in the Daily Mail, plus on top of that they're now running a poll. Prince William needs to man up, says Amanda Platel. His new obsessions suggest he's forgotten everything the late Queen stood for. This is why I fear for the future. Oh, the drama, the dramatics, all because he's moving to an 8-bedroom home on the Windsor estate. Again, I will point out at no cost to the taxpayer because he and Catherine are paying for everything themselves. But oh dear, the future of the monarchy is now at risk because he's not moving into a palace or a castle. Then on her tail, or it might have been before, we then had Liz Jones, who says she's always been a fan of Prince William. Now Liz, that's a little bit of a porcupine. You've been a huge fan of Harry and Meghan. She's definitely been one of their supporters, their cheerleaders. So to see a negative article coming from her about the Prince and Princess of Wales wasn't a great shocker. But again, her issue is because of where they are moving to. And I cannot get my head around this strange obsession to do with the Prince and Princess of Wales moving into Forest Lodge instead of a grander palace or the castle. So the poll that the Daily Mail are running, right? This will make you laugh. Should Prince William be forced to live in Buckingham Palace when he becomes king? What? What on earth are they thinking? Should he be forced to live in a palace instead of by royal standards, a fairly modest home? Why has there been no campaign aimed at King Charles and Queen Camilla for not living in Buckingham Palace? Their official, or rather the King's official, London residence is Clarence House, and his personal home is Highgrove. Buckingham Palace is still used to mark all of the important occasions. We still look forward to the royals on the balcony for various events. They still hold state banquets, receptions and garden parties. Over 2 million tourists still visit the royal residences, regardless of who lives in what apartment around the back. Even Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip saw it more as the royal family headquarters than it actually being the place they called home. Home for them was Sandringham Estate and Balmoral, and then later on Windsor Castle. I don't know at this point, guys. I want your opinion here. Is it just me? Does it affect you as royal supporters and royal watchers that Catherine and William are not living in Buckingham Palace, or the King and Queen Camilla are not? They are still using it. It still signifies everything historically that it's represented. You know, yes, it is lovely when you go into London and you see the flag hoisted and you know that the King or the Queen was in residence. But really, if it is still used for these major events, we still get the pomp, we get the ceremony, we get all of the grandeur, the splendour of it. And as I said, when they're hosting big important state visits, we still get the Buckingham Palace glory. What difference does it make if Catherine and William sleep there at night? It seems to me, and this is my guessing, that they are actually more upset, and especially the Daily Mail, because they cannot get the same access to Prince William. They do not have access to the courtiers who are known for gossiping. Prince William is in no mood to be playing these silly games now, and certainly not when he becomes king. He is prioritising his family's privacy and the importance of his children having a safe and stable place to call home, away from prying eyes, and I would say eager ears. He wants his children to grow up and have family arguments and just have a relatively as normal family upbringing as they can, given the responsibilities that will be levelled especially on Prince George's shoulders one day. But of course they are going to be the sons and daughter of the next king and queen of the UK and the Commonwealth realms. He wants them to be able to charge around, to, as I said, probably get into scraps, just have a normal home life without anything being leaked. This is why the two residences that they cruelly kicked the two families out of will be used to house their staff. They want that home to remain their family home. They've got the offices in Kensington Palace. They've got the use of Windsor Castle, Buckingham Palace. They will hold receptions. Everything else will still run smoothly. And as I said, I cannot think of a logical reason why they would have a problem with them choosing to live in this home, other than the fact it means that they can't get their grubby little mitts on as much information perhaps as they were used to. I think they've got a vendetta against Prince William, and as I've said so many times, who can blame him from wanting to protect his wife and his children from the vultures that are the mainstream media sometimes? They're not all bad, but we can remember how many of them really turned when they all went for Catherine, and I'm sure Prince William will always remember that. Now, in some very exciting royal news, this is super exciting for me because the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh are going to visit a country that is so high up on the list for me and my husband. We've got to recover financially from moving house, which wipes the floor with your finances, as I'm sure most of you know. But once we get back up into the point where we can go on holiday, we're going to this country, and this is, of course, Japan. Both Sophie and Prince Edward, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, will be flying to Japan, and they will be there from the 18th to the 22nd of September. They will be visiting Osaka and Tokyo to celebrate the strong relationship between our two countries. So I cannot wait to bring actual exciting news to do with the Duke and Duchess without that title being sullied by the other two. But thankfully now most people just refer to them as Harry and Meghan, because not many people really associate them as being members of the royal family anymore. Now, seeing as I have mentioned the duplicitous duo, well, it looks like the rumours of Harry going to do a documentary on his mother's life for the 30th anniversary of her passing, which will be in 2027, might actually be true. Apparently, it is one of the shows that have been, I would say, presented to Netflix for them to pick up. Obviously, they're now under this new contract. Netflix have a right to refuse to bankroll anything that the couple pitched to them. But I can imagine, given the amount of shows that they were more than happy to do, including an awful musical to do with Diana, Netflix would have no problem bankrolling this project if Harry decides to go ahead with it. But where I think Harry might run into some serious stumbling blocks is, one, it's been done. Every tiny detail of Diana's life has been given to the world over and over, in film form, in documentary form, in personal letters, you name it. The amount of books, I mean, Diana's got its own section in a lot of the big bookstores. It's honestly, she is one of the most talked about women ever, and because of Harry and Meghan also stirring this up, I just honestly at this point find it ghoulish that Harry is yet again potentially, this hasn't been confirmed, but potentially going to drag his mother's memory yet again so he can earn some money for his celebrity lifestyle. Prince William is going to be very, very angry. I'd imagine a lot of the footage. I mean, I'm not sure legally what standpoint Prince William can have, but maybe Prince William can put the blockers on some things airing, but I can't imagine that Harry can get his hands on anything that hasn't already come out into the world. Diana's friends, I don't believe, will be supporting anything Harry and Meghan will be doing, because it will be done in such a way, knowing Harry, it will be negative towards the royal family, it will be negative towards his brother. Remember, Harry very much seems to be possessive over his mother's memory, and he and Meghan have no problem with twisting the truth to suit whatever narrative they are pushing. And I can't imagine many people would want to see Meghan taking part in such a documentary. The Spencers, I'm not even too sure that they would want to get involved, because Harry is so poisonous towards William. The show would have to be done in such a way that Harry would not be allowed to twist anything, and certainly not to attack his brother. Whilst I believe that Harry will push to do this, and I believe that Netflix, because they have no scruples, they only care about money, they want the same financial big hit that they got with the Harry and Meghan documentary, they will have no problem creating it, and they will also have no problem with Harry bending the truth. But I think a lot of other people will have an issue with that. Now, they did approach Harry and Meghan's spokesperson, who has said that they will not be commenting on the claims surrounding the documentary. It's all in the wording for me there. That makes me think there is definite truth to it, because Harry and Meghan, why would they have an issue denying it? They'd say that's not true. And the fact that they're already calling it a documentary makes me believe they just want to keep it under wraps, because they know it's going to cause a significant amount of backlash. And obviously Harry and Meghan aren't doing so great in the old popularity ranks at the moment. Harry and Meghan's only huge financial successes that they've had since they've left the royal family is obviously selling the royal family down the river. Harry and Netflix want to make some easy money, and I can imagine Diana, probably if it's coming from Harry's own mouth, will be a big money spinner for them. Now, speaking about Harry and liking easy, now, get your heads out of the gutter. We need to talk about Harry's surfing skills, because we've had another video dropped of Harry surfing at the Kelly Slater Surf Ranch, which is in California. Lots of people have been commenting that Meghan has posted nothing about her husband in the recent months, with all of the backlash he's been getting from African parks, obviously sent to Bali. There's lots of things that have gone against Harry in recent months, and his wife has shown no support whatsoever. There have been no loved up shots. Even her birthday was about Meghan blowing out the candles for herself, although she did thank her husband. Meghan will never say Harry's name, because I think it makes him come across that he is still the unimportant one in that relationship. But Meghan has obviously cottoned on to the fact it is beginning to look a bit strange that she's shown him no support, and she's bigging him up, because she posts this: "We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this important message." And of course, there's a picture of a fox, reminding us all of that cringeworthy moment when she described Harry as a fox to her friend Jamie Kern-Lima on that cringeworthy podcast. Well, it's hard to believe. Is she bigging him up, or is she trolling him? Because this video has got the soundtrack, I can't play it for copyright issues, but it's Salt and Pepper's What a Man. And Harry is filmed gliding through the waves as he eventually stands up and waves in victory. Now, when you look at the video, you do actually think to yourself, that's pretty impressive. I know that I certainly could not do that. But then when you understand how the photographs and the video is taken, Harry is crouching down on a surfboard where he is towed by someone on a jet ski, who, as the automatic wave machine starts, they drag Harry at the correct speed on the surfboard, know exactly when to let the surfboard go, and they just have to balance themselves and stay on the board. As they come shooting through the waves, the photographer or the filmographer is at the right angle to capture them coming through like the pro that they now look like, as the guy in the jet ski stays out of the shot. Now, I'm not knocking Harry here, because he can do something that I can't, and that is he can stand upright on a board. As you can see, this was my failure a few years ago in Australia. I'm still yet to attempt it ever again. But when you think about these images, and Meghan with the soundtrack, What a Man, What a Man, he's doing something that they actually allow children to do that go to that surf camp. You know, this is something that children as young as this can actually do. So again, guys, I put this to you. Do we think that Meghan was genuinely bigging up her fox, or do you think she was just humiliating him publicly yet again? Now, as much as I am really trying to avoid any of the stories coming out to do with Meghan and her As Ever brand, because obviously, as I said, come the 26th of August, we're going to be inundated when part 2 of Meghan with Love Meghan airs. But in this instance, I've got to talk about this story because it's completely worth it. And I am certain it definitely had some plates smashing over in Montecito. Because the ultimate diva, the queen, right, Mariah Carey, has apparently dissed Meghan yet again, according to some reports. Mariah was recently being interviewed by Hits Radio before her performance at King Charles's Sandringham estate for the Heritage Live concert on the 15th of August. And she was asked if she had ever met a member of the royal family. Well, Mariah turned around and said, "Fergie, I thought she was cool." So she remembered the Duchess of York, but not the Duchess of Montecito. And I honestly, genuinely found that so amusing, especially because Mariah was, let's be honest, I think she was Meghan's top billing when she did her Archetype podcast. But Mariah and her had a moment. Mariah embraces the term diva. She plays up to it, okay? But she's also a powerhouse, a set of golden plated lungs when it comes to her singing. She actually has incredible talent. Whereas obviously Meghan is only given the platforms that she is because of who she's married, let's be honest. So when Mariah called Meghan a diva in the podcast, because it was all that particular episode was centering around it, Meghan got really upset and she actually cut Mariah off when Mariah went to say, "Come on, Meghan, you know and Meghan cut her off. Now, not only that, after Mariah turned around and said, you just embrace it. It's not a negative thing. Meghan's like, "Well, I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way." And you can tell it got under her skin because she's a control freak and she was trying to twist it back round. But what Meghan did at the end of each and every one of her podcast episodes, she did a voiceover. Like we hadn't already been tortured enough throughout her podcast, she then had to do a voiceover explaining everything that happened throughout the podcast and the little things that she learnt. Nobody learnt anything, Meghan, other than the fact you won't let your guests talk. But she started bleating on, right? She was going on about, "Oh, I had a moment where I thought my girl crush was coming to its end. It couldn't be true. When she said that to me, it's not true. How could you? How could you say that about me? It stopped me in my tracks." And it was just this really overdramatic moment where she then proceeds to explain to the listener that Mariah didn't mean it as an offensive term. She meant it about Meghan's poise, about Meghan's fashion choices. And I'm thinking to myself, well, really, your fashion choices, your poise, really, Meghan? But what she was trying to do was she wanted the diva to be presented in one way and Mariah didn't let her do that. So Meghan was really chomping at the bit. She lost control of it and was trying to get the narrative back. But of course, because Meghan was upset about it, this caused more backlash towards Mariah. Not that I can honestly think that Mariah Carey gave a single two shits about it or any backlash she got from Meghan's fan base because, well, she's Mariah Carey. She probably did give a shit about the fact that Meghan cut her off when she was talking to her because, let's be real, this is Mariah Carey. She did Meghan a favour by appearing on that podcast to get her the viewership that she did. Now, I can honestly imagine that with the backlash because of Meghan whining and whinging over Mariah calling her a diva, which she just could have embraced, couldn't she? She could have embraced it and seen that as a massive plus. Mariah Carey called me a diva, the queen of divas. But oh no, Meghan had to make it as she was some sort of victim in the moment that she was being attacked by her girl crush. But I can't help but laugh about this internally. It makes me really happy that Mariah hasn't actually done anything wrong here. She hasn't badmouthed her. She just didn't even remember her. She wasn't even on her radar. Some people have said it's deliberate, it's a burn. I don't care either way. I find that funny. And in such quick succession from the Kardashian sisters not even tagging Meghan or being photographed alongside that fruit basket she sent for one of their birthdays, I can imagine there's some serious rage going on over in Montecito. And if Harry is living there, I'd imagine we're probably going to see a lot more videos of him learning to surf. over at Kelly Slater's surf ranch. From dusk until dawn, I'm sure Harry will be out there trying to perfect his skills of finally taking on a real wave. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. I will be back with you soon. Tell me your thoughts. Do you think that Meghan was finally showing a little bit of acknowledgement and support for her husband, or do you think she was in fact roasting him? So let me know your thoughts and I will be back with you soon. Take care for now. Bye.